Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Mornings with Loretta. And it is such a pleasure to be here on this beautiful Tuesday morning. We have with us, he is so amazing. I had to research him and I learned a lot. So he's going to have to answer my questions and help me unlearn what I shouldn't have learned. And we have Jay Wolfgang with us. He is the Advisor Chief Information Security Officer for Cisco. So welcome to Mornings with Loretta.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to Mornings with Loretta, Wolfgang.
Good morning. Good morning. Great to be here.
All right. So since cybersecurity has become a top concern among consumers, especially as scammers and hackers have grown more creative. So you're here to give us some tips and some suggestions. So what do we need to know about the current cybersecurity threats?
Yes, they are getting more creative, and it can be frustrating, right? Because technology has gotten better, our security has gotten better. We have gotten more aware of these threats. The old days of the Nigerian prince scam email is long gone. And yet at the same time, the criminals keep getting better. They keep going after us in new and creative ways. One of these ways that we've seen quite frequently recently is the text message. It's no longer that terribly worded email. It's now a text. And oh, by the way, I placed dinner. Now I got a text. Maybe that's my food. And next thing you know, you're in one of these situations where a scammer or a criminal is trying to get at your information or your passwords.
You know what? I hadn't even thought about that. That is super scary because I use DoorDash a lot, like probably a lot of us do. And you never know who's texting you. And at first you can kind of look at an email, like you said, and see some misspelled words, or there was a hyperlink that just looked suspicious. But now, as we become more savvy online, so are the hackers, the criminals. So what are the most present cyber threats for individuals?
Certainly the account takeovers. A criminal gets into our email, they get into our social media, even worse, they get into our financial services. That tends to be one of the most pressing common threats. And a quick runner-up to that is malicious software. So our phones, our tablets, our computers getting infected by the software packages that criminals continue to write and continue to fire at us.
I know, with any topic, some people says, well, Loretta, that's not relevant to me. But if you have a phone, if you're on a computer, or if you bought a phone or a computer or a laptop or watch for someone, then this affects everybody. Nobody gets to walk away from this thing and say, you know what, it can happen to me. I'm super careful because, even in corporate America, they always are testing their employees with these test emails to see if they're going to click on them. And of course, they know if you clicked or not. So how do we really protect ourselves from that email scan? And then secondly, I had no idea I have seen some text messages that I didn't recognize the number. But Wolfgang, I talk to people all over the country and around the world. So how am I to know if it's a good text message or not? So those are two questions.
I think you already highlighted a very important one, which is watch out for those links. Check on the information. The other thing is these types of attacks pull on some common things, right? They pull on our need to help people. They pull on our need to respond quickly. So if you feel that you're being pressured, if it's one of those things like do this quickly or you're going to lose your account, or click on this right away or there's going to be penalties, take a moment, be mindful, be very skeptical.
Because generally, if you get something, say, from your bank, they already tell you, I'm not going to email you like that. I'm not going to ask you for your personal information in an email, nor will I ask in a text message, and certainly not on a phone call that I initiated, because I should already know that. So you all have done something that this is your first time ever. So can you tell us more about the Cisco's first ever list of cyber security resolutions? This is the perfect time to talk about that.
Absolutely it is, right? As we all resolve to do so many things that improve our lives, let's resolve to improve the technology we use. There's three that I want to highlight. First is I resolve to protect my accounts. And that is, of course, the age-old wisdom around passwords. We already know that, but also using unique accounts, using a password manager to make it simple, as we all have hundreds of accounts these days. Certainly turning on multi-factor to make sure that if a criminal does get into that account, that they're not able to go forward. And as you pointed out very rightly, making sure we don't share those multi-factor codes like every bank warns us against these days. Secondly, I resolve to protect my toys. If I take it out of a box, if I give it to a friend, if I give it to a loved one, I'm going to apply the software updates. I'm going to keep that updated. And it goes beyond the ones that you mentioned, but also our connected appliances, the robots that are sweeping our floors, all that technology. And third, I resolve to protect my privacy. Now, this one's a little bit more tricky, right? But it's being very thoughtful and mindful about the apps we use. It's being very careful about the permissions we accept. Does this thing need to know my location? Do I need to allow it to share data with a whole bunch of other websites and advertisers? Be very careful when accepting those conditions and limit the applications on our online footprint so we can keep our information private.
Well, I need to write those resolutions down because I truly need to do it. And we do have one viewer that says she received a text message from what looked like it could have been her CEO of her company, but of course it wasn't him. And when why would your CEO text you? Number one, why wouldn't they email you? So those kind of things are almost red flags, or are we just such a community now that perhaps the CEO can text us? How do we know? And what should we do when that happens?
When something like that happens, and this happened to me very recently. I had the president of our company emailing me and asking me for gift cards. So first, is it a normal conversation, right? Do they need gift cards? And second, and I think your viewer was very smart about this, if they don't text you, send them a work email or contact them over your work chat. Whatever contact form that they use a different one if you think it really is legit to verify that communication.
Okay, that is a great resolution for that resolution. So, how can the average person really protect themselves? We can have these shows every day, and still people are going to be affected by those hackers and scammers. But every day, what can you say to us right now as an individual, somebody who is not as savvy as you are, Wolfgang, or those hackers and scammers? How can we really protect ourselves against this?
It's being mindful, it's being skeptical, it's being aware when people are trying to pressure you into things. It's being aware when something feels a little unusual. The fact that your viewer pointed out, hey, that's a text message, that's not normal. Those are the things we're looking for. And it also is the fundamentals of street smarts. Where do street smarts, specifically cybersecurity street smarts, come from? They come from conversations like this. They come from conversations with our kids. They come from conversations with our parents. So having those conversations around what are you doing with your technology, how are you using it, how are you protecting it, can help us all better resolve to make a more secure environment.
That was like the best point you could have made, because I didn't even think about, once we experience it, we should definitely have these conversations, right? Or whether we experience something or not that triggers us to have the conversation. After this show, everybody should have a conversation and teach their children, their parents, their friends. Everybody should have it about what not to do and what to do. Make sure you're not so eager to get a text from somebody or email that you just go respond. So lastly, Wolfgang, where can we go for more information?
Well, I liked your point about going to friends and family and having these conversations. Also, to wherever you are tracking your resolutions, I'd encourage you to add those three, right? Protect your accounts, protect your toys and technology, and protect your privacy. Track those resolutions, reach out to loved ones and family, and together we can have a more secure 2023. All
right. Is there a website we can point them to for those resolutions?
Of course, we're available at Cisco.com.
That was almost too easy. Cisco.com. Well, Wolfgang, I've enjoyed this. I've been informed, empowered, and now I should not be attacked. I can't stop the attack, but I can stop me from going ahead and following it through and allowing them into my world. So thank you for that. I hope you'll come back on and join Mornings with Loretta.
Thank you so much, Loretta.
All right, everybody. So Wolfgang has to go. We have to get ready for another segment. So I'm definitely going to encourage you all to stay positive, dream big dreams, help someone along the way. And guess what? We're going to see you real soon for this next segment. All right, enjoy.
Your life looks today.